Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to convert the 550 mini case feeder from one caliber to another, and we're going to go from 9mm that we were loading before to rifle 223. Now obviously you need to convert your press, which means changing the shell plate. I've already done that, and changing the tool head or the die setup that you have in your tool head. Since we don't have a fully loaded tool head, that's not going to be an issue for us when we change to 223. The shell plate did need to be replaced, and I've done that. So you start with the magazine holder. Now the magazine holder has the spacers in place, and since we were loading 9mm, we had the tallest spacer in use. You're going to want to remove that. Obviously you first make sure that the feeding mechanism is empty. When you remove your magazine with the 9mm cases, you are still going to have one or two cases sitting inside the assembly. You can always empty it by putting your hand underneath it and actuating the plunger with your finger inside the press, and you can remove any last pieces of cases that might still be in there. Once that's empty, you want to assemble the appropriate spacer that fits for the caliber. Since we're going to load rifle, we don't use a spacer. We use the full height, so no spacer is required for the 223. Next, we want to convert the parts that are required to convert on the feed track. And really all we're going to want to do is change the pipe. We use the same cap on all of the pipes, so we'll keep that one. This is the one marked number 1, 223, 300 blackout. Fit the cap on the top of that piece, and obviously with the window, the cutout facing towards the shell plate, I'm going to put that back into place with the notch aligned in the groove so that it's pointing in the right direction. Once you've assembled the pipe, you will want to change the feeder if you're going from pistol to rifle. The large feeder is the one assembled with these little pincer fingers in the front, and this is used only for rifle. For 223 and for 300 blackout, the pincers actually serve to stabilize the case as it falls in and to hold it in place so that it's not likely to tilt and fall over as you push it into the shell plate. These cases are very unstable, their center of gravity is very high, their base is very small, and we found that we needed that solution to prevent them falling over as you feed them into the press. So if you are changing from one pistol caliber to another, you do not have to remove the slider from the feed track. You use the same small slider. If you're converting to rifle, you do use the other one. Now removing the feeder slider is super easy. You basically just push the actuator back and it'll come right out. The fork that is assembled in there fits onto the pin in the back to drive the part forward, and it's simply resting in place. There are no screws or bolts required to hold it there. So when you are replacing it, you simply lift the arm back out to remove it, bring in the new one with the pincer fingers, the taller one for the rifle, make sure the track is in place, and bring that fork into position so that it's holding the part, and you can immediately try and see and make sure that it's feeding as it should be. And that's it. The conversion is complete. You've changed the spacer in the magazine if necessary. If you're going from one caliber to another, that requires that change. And again, the calibers are marked on the plastic parts. In the case of going from pistol to rifle, we remove the spacer. For the rifle, we don't use one. We changed the pipe. And because we went from pistol to rifle, we changed the feeder part, which again just pulls back out, and the other one fits in place on the rail instead. I have already preloaded my magazine tubes with 223 cases. I'll check where the hole is, make sure that's seated correctly, allow them to drop. Now again, it's important, especially with rifle, it's important that you do not start the process with the tube empty, because if the cases are falling directly from the magazine down onto the bottom of the shell plate, they won't be stable, the machine won't function as it should. So always preload this tube before you start. In the case of the rifle, it's just three cases that will fit in there. And here we go, we're ready to load 223. Now again, you want to operate the press with a nice smooth stroke. You want your table to be stable, not like this little desk that I'm displaying on. And that'll give you the best performance. Once you learn the speed and the motion in a smooth manner, you can get the press to operate perfectly fine, even with the very unstable 223 cases. Keep an eye on your tubes. They will empty quite quickly with the long cases. Rotate to the next pipe. So there you have it, a full explanation of the setup, of the Double Alpha 550 mini case feeder. You can see that assembling it onto your press takes just a matter of minutes. Changing calibers takes even less than that. You don't need any tools to change calibers. All of the parts are included. If you have any questions or issues with your setup, you can always reach us by phone or email. And this is the new 550 mini case feeder by Double Alpha, which is in stock and shipping from doublealpha.biz.